All right, let's get right into it. We all know fine jewelry is, well, it's beautiful, right? But what if its real power isn't just about how it sparkles, but about what it's actually worth? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on fine jewelry as a secret financial asset.
So let me ask you something. Is your jewelry box just a place for pretty things, or could it actually be a bank vault in disguise? It's a fun thought, isn't it? And look, for most pieces, yeah, they're just for show. But for a very, very select few, the answer to that question is a definite yes.
And that brings us to the main idea here. Thinking about jewelry as a liquid asset. I mean, what does that even mean? Well, think of it like this. They're wearable investments. Beautiful, tangible, high-value things that, if you need to, can be turned into cash. It's this wild intersection of beauty and, the balance sheet. And what's so fascinating is that this isn't some crazy new idea. Just like a piece of fine art or a classic Ferrari, the right piece of jewelry from an elite brand isn't just for looking good. These things are recognized all over the world as real, reliable stores of value. They can be used to secure some serious capital.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, which brands are we actually talking about here? I mean, who holds that kind of power? Well, we're talking about a very, very exclusive club, the titans of the industry, whose names alone scream investment-grade value.
Honestly, the best way to think about these brands is to compare them to blue chip stocks on the stock market. The big, stable, reliable ones. These 6 brands, they are the bedrock of the entire fine jewelry market. They're the names that auction houses, collectors, and even financiers trust without a second thought. So first up, you have to talk about Cartier. Founded in Paris way back in 1847, its reputation was literally built on serving royalty. But what really gives Cartier its staying power are those iconic designs. I mean, think about the love bracelet or the tank watch. These pieces are just as hot today as they were 50 years ago. That's timeless value. And this wasn't just some marketing slogan they came up with. No, this status was literally declared by a king, King Edward VII of England himself, called Louis-François Cartier, the jeweler of kings and the king of jewelers. I mean, come on, an endorsement like that, it cements your legacy forever.
All right, next, let's jump across the pond to an American powerhouse. The one, the only, the undisputed king of diamonds, Harry Winston. I mean, their reputation is just on another level, mostly because they've owned and handled some of the most famous gems in all of history.
And get this, just to give you an idea of their pedigree, the firm once acquired the legendary Hope Diamond. The Hope Diamond. And then they generously gifted it to the Smithsonian. When you're dealing with artifacts of that level, you're not just a jewelry store, you're a central part of diamond history itself.
Okay, let's shift gears to a brand that's just pure magic and poetry. Van Cleef and Arpels. You've probably seen their famous 4-leaf clover design, the Alhambra motif. It's the perfect example of their whole vibe. Inspired by nature, but executed with this unbelievable, intricate craftsmanship.
A huge part of their value comes from their constant innovation. It's not just about pretty designs. They invented technical marvels, like their patented mystery set. Now, this is a super painstaking technique where gems are set with no visible prongs. It creates this flawless, unbroken carpet of color. It's just pure magic to look at. Okay, now for a more modern player on the scene, Graf. While some of these brands have been around for over a century, Graf really made its name starting in the 1960s, and they did it by focusing on one thing and one thing only, getting their hands on the absolute biggest and most flawless gemstones on the planet and putting them in these bold, modern settings. And the founder, Lawrence Graf, he said it best himself. I was born to be amongst diamonds. That single-minded passion, that obsession, you can see it in every single piece they make. And that's what makes them such powerful assets. All right, from London, let's head to Rome for some Italian sophistication. We're talking about Bulgari. You can really see their Greco-Roman roots in their designs. They're bold, they're architectural. I mean, just think of that iconic serpenti snake motif. It's been adored by everyone from screen legends like Elizabeth Taylor to modern stars like Zendaya. And finally, we've got an American icon that everyone knows from that little blue box, Tiffany & Co. What's so important about them is that they didn't just sell jewelry, they literally set the quality standards for it in the United States. And their history is just amazing when you look at it. They started out as a little stationery store in 1837, but by 1851, they were the ones setting the national standard for silver purity. And then, and this is a real power move, in 1887, they bought 1/3 of the French crown jewels. Talk about building an empire.
Okay, so now we know the who, the big brands. But what about the what? What exactly gives a single piece of jewelry its incredible value? Let's break it down, kind of like a secret formula that the experts use. So, you've probably heard of the 4 C's for diamonds, right? Cut, color, clarity, and carat. That's standard stuff. But these top-tier houses, like Van Cleef and Arpels, they add a 5th C, something a bit more poetic. They call it character. This means they're looking for something beyond the lab report. They're looking for the stone's inner life, its unique fire, a soul, something you just can't measure on a certificate. But of course, you can't build a masterpiece without a solid foundation. The intrinsic value of any piece really starts right here, with precious metals, gold, platinum, and the big 4 precious gemstones: diamonds, rubies, sapphires, and emeralds. This is the baseline. Everything else is built on top of this. But here's the thing. The materials alone are not enough. Not even close. Condition and provenance are everything. And just look at this example. It's pretty shocking. A pair of Van Cleef & Arpels earrings worth £70,000 can plummet to just $20,000 without the original box and papers. That's a 70% loss. Those papers, that's what we call provenance. It's the documented proof of where it came from and its history. It's not just a nice to have. It is absolutely essential. Okay, now for the really fun part, the proof. Let's look at some jaw-dropping, real-world auction prices that make this whole concept of value feel, well, very, very real.
This is where the rubber meets the road, the auction block. Back in 2010, Sotheby's sold a 24.78-carat graph pink diamond for, wait for it, $46.2 million. Just let that sink in.
And it's not a one-off. Over at Christie's, a Bulgari blue diamond ring went for a cool $18.3 million. And you know, it's not just the absolute mega gems. Even this Graf yellow diamond ring set a record at over 1.3 million pounds. This isn't just about buying pretty things. This is world-class finance in action. So, after all that, let's tie it all together. What is the actual, honest-to-goodness formula for a piece of jewelry to not just hold its value, but to create a real, lasting legacy? So, what's the magic recipe? Well, it's this powerful mix of everything we've talked about. You need that unmistakable brand heritage. You need visionary craftsmanship and design. Of course, you need the highest quality materials. The piece has to be in pristine condition, with all its history, its provenance. And finally, you need the official certificates from places like GIA or HRD to prove it's all legit. You get all of those ingredients right, and that's when you have the whole shebang. And that really leaves us with one final, bigger question to ponder. When you strip away the price tags and the lab reports, what is it that truly gives an object a legacy? Is it the history baked into it, the hands of the person who made it, or is it all about the stories that it will one day tell for generations to come?